Hello, and welcome to Bring Me to Quiz with me, Andy Quirk, also known as Angelabra.
Hello, it's me, Tom, also known as Auntie Ginger. Sorry, I sound a bit hoarse today.
Yes.
But we're getting there. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm all right, me. You look like you've been through it a bit. I feel like there's a story here because you're still, for those who can't see, you're still wearing makeup in bits on your face.
I just had a gig. I just had a gig for a couple of hours. But one of the things that happens if I do gigs for multiple days in a row, and I've been doing like 5 or 6 nights a week, is my skin starts to stain a little bit. And there's only so much you want to rub it off. And I use good makeup removers. I use a Krylon makeup remover. But yeah, my skin's going through it. And my voice is going through it. I'm going to the ear, nose and throat specialist tomorrow, which is going to cost me a fortune. But I've had an on and off again thing with COVID. Since COVID, sorry.
I was going to say, you've done all these gigs and just given everybody COVID. No.
Yeah, no. I've not got
Since COVID.
No, I've not got COVID. But I've had an on and off thing where my voice blows out and then it's fine and then it's fine. Not and then it's fine. And I go on the meds and then it fixes it or it makes it a bit better and then it's fine and then it goes out. So I'm going back again tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be fine. But it is a pain in the arse because, we need our voices for our jobs.
Yes. You do have to take care. I had a lot of that last week, actually. It wasn't obvious until, because I tend to yell a bit when I'm in bingo, and my voice did quite regularly crack, and I was like, uh-oh, that's not good. I had to wind it in just slightly, which is no fun for me. But I did any. The point being, though, we record this at a very sensible time of day. It is not 3 a.m. So where on earth were you gigging in an afternoon on a Wednesday?
So I have been doing several care home gigs this month. I've done 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a couple more to come. It's very popular during Pride Month, and I think you've got one coming up as well.
I have, yes, that's true.
And I've been doing these for a few years now, and they're a joy.
Mm.
Because the staff tend to get behind it. They'll dress up the residents. They'll, cover them in rainbows. And
I like the idea there's these very old people that they decorate. They
do. And they'll put like Pride-themed food out and drinks, and it's like a proper kickback party,
I saw a photo of you. You posted some photos from one and a video. I think that featured the hokey cokey, which was a revelation. It was like you put your left leg in, your hip falls out. Not a care home.
Not the hokey cokey video.
Oh.
There was a care home bunch of photos that I posted.
I saw you with a cake. You were cutting a cake.
Yeah, that's at Bishop's Manor, KUK. They're a bunch of fun. That's my longest standing care home gig ever.
Mm.
I've been doing that so long I used to lip sync.
It's a long time ago.
Which is if my voice doesn't get better, that's what's happening next. But they're great. And now, having done it for so many years, I've got a good rhythm of how far I can push the humour in the care homes.
Mm.
So I can be a bit like, look, if you give me the keys to the medicine cabinet, I'll get you the code to the door with the residents, that kind of thing. And they're good fun. Had a really
what are the bangers? What are the songs that they want to hear in the care home?
Well, that sort of changes every year. Like 5 or 6 years ago, I was singing like Vera Lynn.
Oh, right. They're all dead now. So
yeah, now it's like like Beach Boys, Foot Tappers, bit of Madness.
Madness.
Yeah, like
wow.
Late 70s to 90s bangers. I don't do anything particularly modern. We do some Frank Sinatra. So it's great because I've already got all these songs on my playlist.
Yes. Well, yeah, I mean, when I spoke to the care I'm doing, they were saying, I said, what sort of music do they like? They were like, 60s and 80s. Well, that's a really interesting, like, no 70s, forget that. ABBA's gone. No,
Oh no, they
absolutely
like a
80s.
bit of ABBA. They like a bit.
Uh, yeah, but no, I was surprised. I thought, well, I understood 60s, and I was like 80s. I was like, okay, these are just life events, maybe. I'm trying to think how old your typical 80-year-old would be in the 80s, and they would be going to dinner parties and things, I imagine, at that point, or maybe a bit younger. They certainly weren't teenagers, and they would be in the 60s, so I kind of get that.
They were good. They were good sports. Some of yesterday's care home, one was like 101.
Wow.
So that was incredible. Generally nice people, and up for it. I'll tell you what was wild. So I've been saying at the end of each of these, because I've done a few and I've got another one to come. Like, if you've got any trans or non-binary grandchildren, relatives, siblings, look after them.
Mm-hmm.
Twice I've been approached saying, so what's going on with trans people? We've not heard anything. I'm like, it's wild to me. Like, it's so, if you're not in our world, it's not on everyone's radar.
No, it's not. Although it was all, yes, it wasn't on anyone's radar for many years until it became a weapon of the right. And although I think I may have read this, I mean, it was on the internet, so feel free to fact check. But some of the EHRC ruling has been adapted to say actually the toilet thing is not a thing, which sounds like it's rolling back in the right direction, little by little. So I bet you won't hear that on the news, though. That doesn't sell copy. I probably would. It will make all the gammons really angry. And I don't like calling them gammons because that's almost as bad as any other spludgy name, like derogatory name. But I am fed up with the rubbish on the internet, and I will just fight fire with fire at times. It's like you don't have a right to be rude just because you're the right, Yeah, we spend too long trying to understand you, and frankly, you are a moron. And there is nothing to understand, and I can't argue with you because your answer will be like yawn and an emoji. So, that's that. Anyway, off the politics for the minute.
What's happening in your world?
Yeah, it's been good. I have because we've had a little break because we're so busy last week. We didn't catch up, and
I know, and we got pulled up on it.
Did we?
I was in Leicester, and Davina and Fanny Burns.
I knew it would be Davina.
Both Davina and Fanny Burns came to me and was like, "No episode this week."
Oh, very good.
Actually, Davina definitely said it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Fanny was more like, "You're welcome. I listen to your podcast." I think she was like, "I make up 20% of your viewings," and I was like, "I don't think it's quite that bad, but I do appreciate it."
Yes, there's hello Davina, hello Fanny Burns. Thank you for listening. Always appreciated. Yes, because I had a list of things to talk about. Because like last week, well, the weekend of that one before, I do a lot. Like it's turning into quite a lot of private parties because I don't do cabaret bars ever, and so it is a mixture of my bingo, see behind, bop and bingo when it's running, and then private bookings. And I got booked for a stag do, which was exciting, a gay stag do, but not everyone was gay. Like the stag was
gay stag do, a gag do.
Yeah, but it was the brother organising it. He had quite an idea about how he wanted it to start. He had all these plans, as people often do, because obviously it's quite special. And they'd hired a pub, except it wasn't a pub anymore. It used to be a pub. It turned into an Airbnb, but it still looked and retained pub-like charm. So the communal area was a bar with a bar, and then all 14 bedrooms coming off of it, like over the floors above. And it went from, as you know, they're trying to book me. Then they said, "Oh, we could get another drag queen. We can afford another queen." I was like, "Okay." Yeah. And I said to you, "Do you want to do it?" But you're already busy. And they're like, "And we're going to get a buff butler, and we're going to get a stripper." And I'm like, "How many of you are there?" And it's like 18. I'm like, "This is a lot of people you are hiring in for a very comparatively small stag do." But brilliant. If you want to do it, why not? You got the money, go for it. And originally it was like you're going to do a couple of hours, I do roasts, that's my thing. And by roast I don't just mean oh, you're fat. I mean I get sent all the information and I actually write a proper one. And then we did and play some games and a bit of karaoke. That's what we wanted. And then that turned into I said, well, I can't get Ginger. I don't trust anyone else. And frankly,
Oh,
all the good ones are booked anyway. So
all the other good ones. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not bringing newbies to hang off my coattails because I'll have chosen them and then I'm responsible for that and I don't want that. And then they said, well, can you stay over? We'll give you a room. We'll double your fee. I was like, this is exciting. Yes, that's definitely happening. And then because they were late starting the party, because one of the members of the group, they went and climbed Scarfell Pike. This place
Oh
was the
wow.
Lake District. What stag climbed Scarfell Pike on the day of their stag do? These guys, they were in their late 30s. And the
Oh, I
guys
quite
were
like
older.
that actually.
Well, it meant that one of them was quite ill when they got down and went to hospital, which
Oh no.
delayed the party substantially, which meant they cancelled the stripper because it wasn't going to work. And so I did my thing with the butler. Butler was really good. They got a butler in who knew loads of games, and once he ran a couple, I ran a game, he ran a game, I ran a game, he ran a game. And then he worked behind the bar for the rest of the night. So he's serving up the drinks and making cocktails and whatnot. And I'm running the karaoke and did a bit of comedy, did a set. It was like, oh, can you do 15 minutes like before anything else? Like, okay, let's just do a 15-minute set. You're lucky I know what I'm doing. And yeah, because of no stripper, and because I had a really, really good time. And of course, I could drink, which was exciting because I can't usually because I have to drive home. They tipped me on top of that, which was amazing. But the point of this, apart from going, I made quite a lot of money. That was
What a gig I
nice.
had. Yeah.
It was a great gig. Made me consider like what I'd done in preparation because like you see it a lot on discussions places like the Circle, which is like an entertainers board. Like you get what you pay for, people say a lot of the time. So, and usually it's in reference to people offering very low fees for things, whether it's singers, drag queens, bands, whatever. So they'll be like, oh, I could get a DJ for that. And they're like, yeah, but what kind of DJ are you going to get? Kind of vibe. But because I knew the money was decent, I put a lot of time into preparing it and making sure that it was above and beyond, like, Angelabra Premium. So, not particularly with the prizes or anything like that, because that's not worth it. Literally the effort. So, I spent longer preparing the roast. I take pride in my roast anyway, but I wrote it and then I redrafted it. I tested it on Anna. I went back and did it again. It was an hour and a half in total, maybe 2 hours overall. And then thinking precisely how the games were going to work, because I knew that the stag's brother had quite a fixed view, and it was a good view, but I thought it was ambitious. So I was like, right, we'll go with his, but what will happen if this goes wrong? What happens if that doesn't happen? What happens if we start 2 hours late? Which was handy, because we did. And so what went into it, and make sure I arrived earlier than planned, because I just wanted to make sure it was absolutely perfect. And I thought, it's interesting I did that. Because I always put loads of effort in. Anyone who's been to any of my events will say they're amazing. But do you think, it's a motivating factor if you're getting paid above and beyond what you're used to? Does that change what you do?
It does. I think if someone pays me really well, I'll wear better dresses.
Well, you have like a special. I like the idea of a premium dress.
Yeah, there is.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of my biggest outfits, like if someone wants to pay me a couple of £100 and they're like, oh, can you wear the one with 5,000 cable ties on it? I'm like, you can fuck off.
Ah, okay.
Like, no. It's a pain in the ass to carry. So I sort of use those for special occasions. But also, I think there's a pressure that comes with when the fee's really good to wanting to do a job where you feel like they're going to think they've got their money's worth.
Yeah.
So I think that comes into it, but sometimes people don't know what they're paying for.
No.
And I don't care how good the money is. There are some circumstances where I won't take it. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah, go on.
Someone rang me. So I cocked up my own diary on Friday. And I ended up with a free night. One because a bar that I normally work in was being renovated. And another one, they'd offered me a date and I wrote it down, but I never said I could do the date. So it was never in the diary. Anyway, so I ended up with a Friday free. And I put a post out saying, I'm free. Does anyone want me?
Yeah.
And a few people messaged me about this particular job in Saltburn. Which is 2.5 hours from my house. And they said, and I was like, oh, do I want to go there? And they said, 500 quid cash pickup. And I was like, okay, now we're okay.
Yes.
Now you've got my attention.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, they said it's just a bingo caller. And I was like, yep, absolutely. We'll absolutely do bingo for 500 quid. No problem. So I said, give me the name of the booker. So I rang him up and he said, well, it's not bingo, it's rock and roll bingo that the previous queen was going to do. And she was going to prepare it all, like all of the tracks and all of the cards and all the pens and all of that and all the prizes. And I was like, right, well, I've not got time for that. We can do number bingo if you get the cards, but I've not got time to prepare the other. And they said, oh, also, it's a bit of cabaret and a bit of karaoke and playing music in between. I was like, so how long do you think you've got me for? 4 hours. I was like, right, and is there a DJ? No, so basically you'll be on stage the whole time. Just do a bit of karaoke, bit of cabaret, bit of thing. I was like, okay, all of a sudden this is quite a different proposition than what I was told. I said, but look, let's see if we can make it work. Because I was thinking 500 quid, still 500 quid. And they said, we don't have a karaoke machine. I was like, right.
Here we go.
I was like, and do you have a PA system? They said, yeah, we think so. Why didn't you ring the woman on site? So I rang the woman on site and she said, yeah, I do. I don't know if it's got a microphone. And then she was shouting like at the girl at the bar, yeah, Gladys, or whatever her name was. Have we got a microphone? Yeah. Does it plug in? Yeah. She said, anyway, karaoke. We don't have a karaoke machine, but other people have just used YouTube. I was like, I'm not using YouTube. She said, what about Spotify? I was like, well, it won't put the lyrics up. And also, that's not legal either. You need a proper karaoke license, like a Carafun subscription.
Carafun, yes.
And I was like, I'm not. And she said, just use YouTube. I'm like, no. But I'm a proper queen. And she was like, anyway, the guy who owns the club said he's going to sort something with karaoke. I don't know what it is, but we'll sort something. But, still come. And I thought, this is going to be carnage.
Yeah.
So I said no.
What gets me about that is the fee is really good, but they don't have the tech. Like, it screams to me, not a big venue. Like a venue that doesn't have £500 to pay people, kind
of. We're not selling tickets, so either 20 people could turn up, or 100 people could turn up. But don't worry, we've got security in case it goes bad because we've had issues before, so you'll be fine. And we make sure that we've got 14 to 17-year-olds, but they leave by 9 p.m. And I just thought,
this is great.
This is red flag after red flag after red flag. And I was like, so what they did was they put like £500 like in block capitals on all of the like drag groups pages.
Yeah.
And everyone was getting excited. And I was like, no.
You see, a lot of that I could deal with. Like, because, I have a PA, I have Carafun. I have the ways and the means. I have 2 rounds of music bingo because I've designed 2 over the last year, plus regular bingo. But there is a lot there that concerns me.
Right.
I would literally go. If I went, it would be a case of like, I am taking everything but the bar with me. You know, I'm going to bring the bingo tickets, the dabbers, the PA, the sound system, the mics, the whole lot, because this sounds like an empty room, you know.
Yeah, so I feel like the Queen promised, oh, I'll just do the whole night's entertainment. I feel like that's what the previous Queen promised, who pulled out on the day.
That's not good that they pull out on the day. I mean, what is that about?
No, I don't know the reason, and I wasn't interested in asking. But I think the thing is,
They
like,
say, well, there was a bomb threat, but don't worry about that. They hate the gays. They'll be like, you know, I'm just wondering why they dropped out, whether they got, like, they could have been ill, of course, but maybe they got the willies about it.
I was just like, do you know what? If I was really motivated, and I mean really motivated, I could have made it all work.
Mm.
And it's not that I'm lazy, and it's not that I'm ungrateful. I know there'll be people out there that will think maybe I was, but I'm like, they don't have a plan.
My other worry, to be honest, because I don't know them, they might be brilliant, like, as in brilliant people.
No, it wasn't well marketed over.
But the idea, there could be 20, there could be 100. What if there's none?
Yeah.
And are they going to pay you £500, or are they going to find some way of going, oh, we haven't got the money? You know?
No, they were all like, oh yeah, it'll be cash on pickup. I'm like, I don't know. It's just, it was a 2.5 hour drive, and I was like, it feels like you've got no plan. And it feels like a bit of are you the act? Okay, stage is over there. And that is as far as they've done, as far as their involvement in the night goes. And then like the big owner said, oh, I'm not going to be there for the first few hours. And I thought,
yeah, it's a
disaster.
I have to say, I would be in like your position, because although I, on the face, it could do it, I would then be like, oh yeah, and they'll be like, you know, because you do have questions looming of, this is nothing against the venue, because of course we know nothing about the venue, but you know, you take all your stuff, what if it gets trashed? Like, is there a reason this is, you know, not what you want? You know, has someone decided, yeah, we'll do a pride thing in a Weatherspoons, you know, it could be, you know.
Yeah, and I'm just like, do you know what? I'm too old. Like, 3 years ago, Ginger would have just gone for the money. And then had a horrible time and then regretted it. And now I'm like, no, ask more questions.
Yes.
Because I want it to be a great gig for everyone.
Yes.
I want me to be happy, the venue to be happy, and the audience to be happy. Every time.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, and I'd have loved that extra cash. It would have been really handy. But no, not for... And I think that's the thing. I'd have really tried hard if I'd agreed to it, but no, it's too messy. But there we are. I ranted on a very specific point then. So, what else is going on? What's your other gossip?
Well, the thing is, you've actually linked across. It's almost like you planned it, which we haven't. But you mentioned that there were underage teenagers potentially at this show. Show, inverted commas, does just sound like a pub that has a rule that at 9 o'clock the children leave. It just sounds like it's a pub. You're going to get there, they're eating dinner. You know, that sounds like it was what's likely to be the case. Turn up and it turns out to be a harvester. So
some chicken nuggets and chips at the front.
Salad on the rider, yeah. Unlimited salad bar. So I performed to kids on the weekend. It was funny. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't expected because it was a very random booking that Bop and Bingo were meant to do an event there. And it was a football club, and it was some Bop and Bingo involved because they hire it out. They were going to get Bop and Bingo for free. That's how it works, and they get the bar, and Bop gets the tickets, and the tickets didn't sell, so the gig did not go ahead. But one of the guys involved contacted me and said, actually, we've got an awards ceremony coming up in a few months for kids' football teams. And there's going to be loads of awards. And
I remember you telling me about this.
And there's a parent darts tournament as well. That will be on the night. But we reckon about 9 o'clock, that'll all be done. And we were going to get DJ, but I fancy something different, and we could do drag bingo. And I was like, okay. And he's like, and one thing we need from you is like, if you're doing it like it would be with the DJ, we need your sound system from the off. And I was like, okay, well, that's possible. Like, so as I say, so when do you want the sound system? He's like 6 o'clock. And I'm like, that's quite early. However, when do you need me? And he's like, well, you could probably set up from about 8:30. Like, have you got anywhere to change? And he's like, it's a football club. I'm like, good. So we agreed it. So I took the PA in, set it all up at 6. Then I had the referee's changing room,
Nice.
like a completely separate thing, mirror, shower, toilet, the lot.
Lovely.
As it turned out, I went for a quick nipped up to Asda for stuff. Came back, needed a Powerpuff. Then got ready and went in, and they told me, come 8:30, the kids will probably have gone home. If they're not home, there's a separate room. It'll probably be the mums, and it'll be adults only, so you don't need to change what you're doing. And I was like, okay. I went at 8:30, it's full of kids. and I mean 4-year-olds and up. And everyone's there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not too worried about this. I said to the guys running it, I said, I will be using some language that the humour is adult. My bingo calls alone are naughty, but I can reel it into some degree. I'll use the stuff that will go over the kids' heads. I won't just be swearing my head off. I don't do that anyway. And it'll be nudge, nudge, wink, wink, but it will be edgy, and it will involve words like masturbate, and you can't get around it because it rhymes with the stuff I do. So, and he said, that's fine. And so we got started, and it turned out to be really good. It was really fun. It wasn't loads of people. I'd say it's about 60, including the kids. But we had a real laugh. Like, they weren't sure what to expect, I think, a lot of the adults. But once I'd done a couple of my songs, I did a load of jokes about football and darts, because I thought of them. And then we had a little break. They did the raffle. And then I did the second round and started with... Then the kids really got into it. Like, the bingo music's banging, and there are kids raving around the room, like teenagers as well. They're doing TikTok dances. They're all doing sorts of crazy stuff. I've got video of it. And it's so sweet, even though I'm quite rude as we go. And we did get up wiggle your knees, and they all did that. And at the end, we did a bit of a disco. When they were,
I mean, of all the acts to end up in that situation, you were probably the most appropriate person.
Well, we did the YMC at the end because I did lip sync, and the dads, like, who were like, I think it was all dads who won in the final game. They really went. No, it was a mum and some dads. They really went for it because it's their kids, so they're really acting up for their kids. They're really expressive. They weren't really drunk, which is important because obviously kids are there. So they've had a drink, but they're not drunk. It's not Bob and Bingo. No one's being sick on the floor. It's not Liverpool in a certain venue. So, and yeah, I've got video of that. I was like, it was a beautiful experience, and I reflected on it afterwards that none of the parents had concerns about me being there with children. Like, the only concern the guide said was like, there has been one parent who was concerned about this, but they're concerned because they're worried you'll be really blue and it will be inappropriate. And I was like, no, I can deal with that. That's a sensible thought. It isn't. If you had an adult comedian, you'd be thinking the same thing. So yeah, all the adults are very welcoming, and the kids are just talking to me like I'm Angela. There's no questions. They're not even asking. They just take it at face value. And they had a really good time. And I was like, that's nice, isn't it? Because as I said on TikTok, it's like, you know, the cultural warriors on the internet, they do exist in real life, but they are very few and far between, in my experience. And I'm doing a place which is not posh, you know, and I do plenty of places that are super down at heel. And I don't get this kind of grief, and I know I'm not trans, though a lot of people make that error when I'm performing. So maybe I don't get it in quite the same way because I don't know. But point being, it was really positive, and I think yes,
You're not a sexualized act.
no,
And I mean,
46. That would be disturbing.
oh, that's an interesting point.
It's my experience of who does the sexy dancing, and I have noticed the older a queen gets, the more comic they tend to become.
Well, put it this way: I don't intend to ever desexualize Auntie Ginger.
I don't think of you as someone who parades around in a thong. Like,
Okay. So we mean two different things by sexualized.
yes.
So, no, aesthetically, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I were thin, I would not.
That's the £1,000 booking. That's the special outfit. The rhinestone bikini comes out. We're on it.
Yeah, you need to be aiming a lot higher than a grand. So, no, aesthetically not sexualized, but I don't think you're a particularly sexual act.
No.
Anyway.
I will make jokes, as all do, about intimidating the men, etc.
But they're not even true.
No.
Because if
What's true? What's true in drag?
If I say I want to fuck a customer, generally,
shocking, Ginger, shocking.
Kind of truth.
What about picking up the people who would take it as a compliment?
Well, that too.
There you go.
If there aren't any good-looking people in.
I'm thinking about your care homes now.
Oh, so that's a very different thing. Occasionally there will be an attractive male nurse that I can have some fun with. There was yesterday and today. But some of the older male patients I'll talk about. So, what's the size of your pension? You know, well, I can have fun with that. It's not really sexualizing. It's not true.
So, do you not think, just spinning off for a minute, do you not think if you suddenly found, or you accepted a gig in the knowledge that there were kids there, could you not adapt it down like you have to the care home?
Well, I absolutely do. Like when I've done Pride gigs, for example, I can do it, and I've done Panto.
Yeah,
can do it. Although Panto is great because it's scripted. So it's a lot easier in Panto. Pride seasons, I'm like, okay, well, it's mostly going to be songs.
Yeah.
I don't need to do blue content. I enjoy doing blue content, and I do blue content better than other people do blue content.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think do what you know to an extent. But I don't know. I think for me, if I was told it was adults and children ended up being there, I'd be having quite a blunt conversation with the booker saying what you signed up for, and I'm the wrong kind of act. So I could do a couple of songs just to get paid, but the contract would change.
Of course, I was delivering bingo, so that means that you can dial the content differently. You're not having to just stand, be there and talk.
I think you did the right things, and actually, if there's parental supervision and the parents aren't wasted, I think you did the right things. And I have been in those situations where I'm like, okay, if the parents are with the kids, fine. What I've seen happen to other acts before is they've done a house party, and then the parents have pissed off to the pub and left the kids there and been like, right, you're now with the kids. And I'm like, never, ever.
What kind of house party is that?
Well, yeah, it happened to a comedian friend of mine.
That's terrifying. I've heard about that, at Fringe. There's a reason some comics put, for a kid's show, children must be accompanied because they have seen parents just dump their kids and leave. Yeah.
This is not a creche.
Mm-hmm.
And that's wild to me that parents would even think that was safe to do.
That's so odd. Parents I know, wouldn't leave their kid's birthday party, never mind anything else. So wow.
Well, but there. I never put myself in these situations for this reason.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy being an adult entertainer.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But well, it's up to you, isn't it? At the end of the day. But yes, it was for me. Like it was yes, I can do it for kids, and it wasn't a for kids show. If I'd known that would have been children in there from the off, it would have been slightly different. Like because and I'd warned them. I'd said it. I think at the time I said thing is I can definitely dial it down if there are children there, but it won't be as edgy and it won't be therefore as funny because you book a drag queen for a reason. Like if you just want a singer, that's they're not meant to be edgy, or even a regular bingo caller, it's different. So I can do a drag queen story time, but but again, I'd need to know in advance. So.
One of the things you were talking about, which is sort of relevant to what we were talking about earlier, was fees, and now they're all different.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking a bit again when you were talking about singer versus drag queen versus I mean all fees are different, and I think the answer in and of itself is just to talk to each other with other acts and try and work out what the market rate is.
Yeah.
But it's wildly different, some people's opinions.
Yeah.
There are queens who say to me, "Oh, I wouldn't leave the house for less than £350," and I'm like, "Well, one, you do."
Yes.
Because I know what some of the gigs pay, and there'll be queens who are like, "Oh, well, that's not what I get paid," and I'm like, "No, love, I know what those bars pay. You are leaving the house for less than 350 quid. You absolutely are." But then I think there are queens who are daft and they take gigs for stupid, silly little money, and it makes it hard for the rest of us who are trying to charge proper prices. And it's depends who you are and there are all sorts of factors. But I think knowing where you're at and knowing what the right market rate is by talking to people is important.
Yeah. Well, I saw a bar, naming no names, and it wouldn't be the one maybe you'd think of. So I'm totally distract from it being anything anyone worked with before. And they're very upfront. They said, we could do with the DJ, a drag DJ, it was a drag bar, and at the rate's £20 an hour. And I'm like, if you were in Glossop and I was at a loose end, maybe, but that's about it. I wouldn't even drive to Manchester for that because that's probably £100. I certainly won't want to DJ for longer than 5 hours. So,
and that's the problem. I've done DJ gigs for £20 an hour.
Have you?
But
recently?
No. in my day.
Back in the day when you just lip synced along to them behind the booth.
I've done them, and I've done it for £25 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's... Are there a minimum number of hours? Is there a minimum fee? How far is it from your house? Do they look after you?
Mm-hmm.
Do they pay quick? Do they give you lots of dates? All sorts of things you take into account.
Yeah. I don't think I could do a gig for that. I mean, I don't do a particular... I mean, there are variations. If it was in the week, I still wouldn't do it for that. But you'll take less, or at least I would, for doing something on a Wednesday or a Thursday. And obviously, we're not talking about comedy nights here because you do that because it's inverted commas art, so no one expects it's a privilege anyone's watching you. That's the dynamic is totally different in a midweek comedy night. That's just for fun.
Where you start asking questions like, is there a bucket?
Yes. Who here isn't an act? It's like that's a very different thing. We've talked about that before. But yes, if I was expected to turn up and do a job for several hours, then I would wince at things. Well, anything short of about 200 nowadays. And so I should because I do a lot and I bring a lot It's also the other thing. I don't just turn up and DJ. You tend to get.
Oh, well, and that's the other thing. Monday to Wednesday, I won't charge as much.
Yeah.
And also, if I can pick up another gig in the night and all I have to bring is an iPad, I'm a little bit more reasonable than anyone who wants me to bring anything other than an iPad. It starts getting a bit more expensive.
Yes. Also, you have to pack it up and you have to set it up and all the rest of it. And that adds, especially if you're doing it like I don't do super late nights really, but if I finish at 11, well, I'm not getting out of there till at least 11:30 because I'm sorting my stuff out. And more likely than not, if I'm hosting a night in a bar, then it's more like 11:20 because they're winding it down. And so, yeah, I'm not out of there till nearly midnight. Then I got to drive home. It's a lot. There are little hacks like the thing like with this football club. There's like you can get ready there. I'm like, well, that actually is fine. I have no problem coming to you at 6 o'clock because I'd be getting ready at that time at home. So it makes no difference to me. I'm just getting ready somewhere else. But I do insist that that isn't someone's office with a compact mirror. I want something decent to get ready in. I want to be comfortable.
Yeah, there's been a couple recently where they've been like, "Oh, do you want the disabled loo?" And I'm like, "Not really."
No.
Not really.
No, I do not.
I don't mind a manager's office as long as there aren't going to be people walking in and out of it, and it's not also the de facto staff room. But sometimes needs must. It depends. Like, I will ask what the dressing room situation is in advance, and if it's not good, then I'll arrive done.
Yeah.
It's tricky, and you got to work with people. But yeah, there was one DJ gig that I used to do that really used to not pay very well, and I would start de-dragging 20 minutes before. And the second it ended, I was like out of drag, bag packed, and the last thing I had to unplug was my laptop.
I have worked out a little life hack. Anyone who uses their own PA, because I go in with a full, like 2 speakers, mixer, the lot. Once I'm done with the bingo, if it is a smaller event and there are just people are dancing, you don't want to stop them dancing.
One speaker.
Yeah, you just start pulling things out, and I can even plug my iPad into the speaker so the mixer can go as well. And so the only thing left there at the end is a disco light and an iPad and a speaker, and everything else has been sorted. Because you've already said your goodbyes on the mic. If anyone wants to call time at the bar or whatever, then we'll just turn the volume down. You can shout.
Oh, yeah.
Like keep it old school.
I'd say goodbye 15 minutes before end. At least.
Absolutely. And yeah, and then it's funny because I was doing an in-out gig. Yeah, that's a good example, actually. On last Friday, I was doing Bop and Bingo. That was a small gig, which, because of the way the money works, means less money because I went in for a profit share with this guy. And but on the plus side, they had a PA, they had lights, the Bop sorted out the prizes, the stuff, the bingo books, the dabbers. That's all done. So I literally walk in at 7:30, go, is everything in place? And pick up a mic, and off we go. And I've got my iPad because I trust it more than anything else. And then I just shout at people through the night, as in the staff, if someone isn't doing the right job. We're like, and here's the prizes. Where are the prizes? Get the bloody prizes. It's they'll accept that. And also, you mentioned gigs. Like, I do a lot of gigs for Bop and Bingo, so I'll take the rough with the smooth.
But doing shit gigs teaches you how to ask questions and prepare better for gigs of the future self.
And also, I think, just rounding it up, if you do get booked for something like a hen do, a stag do, etc., you know exactly what to ask them because they don't know. Like, have you got a common area? How many people will be there? How old are they?
Yeah, they don't know. They're not a sophisticated booker. But I had one wedding I did once. I do not tell the story very often. And I said, do you have a PA system? And they said, yes. And I sent them a photo of what I needed. And they said, yeah, we think that's what we've got. turned up to the wedding. What did they have?
I already know.
An iPad docking station.
Ouch. I thought you were going to say a party speaker, but not even that.
With the two little, like, literally iPhone goes in the middle.
Oh, God.
On the end. And they had, like, a mic that, was used for the wedding speeches.
Yeah. Incredible.
And I was like, well, we've got some Acapulco singing and some stand-up. And we had a ball because I leaned into it.
Yes.
And I was like, this is shit. But it's someone's wedding, so I'm going to give it all the beans.
Everything you can, yeah.
But I was furious.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know to ask different questions.
Yes, exactly. It's also when you know, like I had with this best man, and he said, "Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this," and I'm like, "Are you? Like, actually, let's look at that, because I can tell you my bit will take this, a game will take this, my roast will take this. Remember, they've got to gather together. You've decided that all the gays are wearing skirts and all the non-gays are wearing builders' high-vis jackets," which they were, which was the campest straight group ever, because they just looked like the village people. And I started helping with that. I'm like, let's factor this stuff in, because actually you think it's just going to be, it's going to happen in a minute. I'm like, also, you're coming back, you've been to the pub, they're coming back in, they're drinking, you want to get a drink? Of course they want to get a drink. Well, then we're going to have to wait, aren't we? It's not going to start bang on 8. We're going to have to do something in that interim. I'll greet, I'll talk, I'll go 1-to-1. There's only 18 of you. I don't need to be up on a stage just bellowing at them, while they get their beers and their fizzes and whatever. So, yeah, experience helps, because then you start organising their event for them, because you know it'll work for you.
I did a Zoom call on Monday I'm doing a stag party with 35 gays.
Hurrah.
And they want to do an episode of Drag Race as the theme.
Okay, that sounds fun.
So they want to do, everyone does a runway, then a number of people get selected to do a roast, then a number of people get selected to do a blind date version of the Snatch game, and then 2 people lip sync. I was like, that will take a lot more preparation than you think it will.
Yes.
And they were like, oh, we've got 3 hours, we'll do a bit, then we'll have a drink, and we'll do it. I was like, this needs an agenda and timings.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to write it, and then I will fix it. And we had a good meeting. But yeah, it is wild. I love how... And they've also assumed that all 35 people will be up for this.
I love the way you're going to have 35 people doing like a catwalk.
35 people won't be up for it.
Yes. By contestant 32, they'll be quite tired of the concept, I imagine.
I've got some ideas, but it needs some planning.
I love it though. But yeah, this is so typical of like a hen do or a stag do, because they want it to be so special, they want it to be memorable, they come up with a concept, and then you're like, yeah, let's just remember, guys, you're just going to get really drunk and sing along, and anything else is a bonus. Like maybe the first hour should be really cleverly done, but from there on in, you're
People
likely to amuse yourselves. Let's face it.
People give a bit of energy because they want the grooms to be happy.
Yeah.
But it only goes so far.
Yes. I told you with the hen do I've got this weekend, they were the ones who watched all my socials and said, we want that game, we want that. I'm like, yes, you can have that, that's great. Then if you don't like it, it's not my fault. So
another thing that's quite funny at care homes is a lot of the staff will say, we've watched your real content online, we've watched the darker stuff, we want the darker stuff. And I'm like, book me for a private party. It's hilarious. Like, I quite like it when they watch your stuff. Because then it feels real.
Yes. One of the care home residents from next week has tried to add me on Facebook. It's like, No, you can follow Angela.
Probably not.
But I don't think we need to be friends. I love the way you've gone to that level to find out my actual Facebook page. Because I was like, why is this lady in her 80s trying to add me? Oh, that's where you live.
Cute. Let's talk about one last thing on today's list. Flogging ticket shit.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Because it's festival season. So we suddenly become promoter and performer. Because at Edinburgh, for anyone who doesn't know, you're enabled, but really the amount of tickets you're going to shift is largely down to you. So, yes.
Prepare to piss off all your friends on social media by constantly sharing posters of your show.
Yes. Yep. It's absolutely a thing. I've been slapping, not this poster, obviously, it's a bingo poster, but this is my summer theme. I changed the theme. It's seasonal. This was the new idea because I keep going back to the same places. And so I didn't want it to be the same all the time. I'm not wearing that, incidentally, in the show. That might be a bit much.
Yeah. Hi, kids.
Though apparently, yeah.
For anyone who can't see, Angela's wearing a bikini.
Yes, not very much. It's a good photo. But yes, it'll be, I mean, it's going to be hot, so I'm not going to wear a lot. I'll be wearing more than that. Where was I? Yeah, because that's the poster for that. But yes, all my TikToks, all my Instagrams now at the end of any prepared content, so like joke telling, you get the poster turns up and then the dates slap over it. And I've no idea if it's working. I know that tickets are shifting. If it's because of that, great. If it's not, I won't know. So, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Mm-hmm. I did my Manchester preview last week and I had 10 people. You know, a couple I knew. A load of people who picked up free tickets through Eventbrite didn't show up. I'm like, fine. But after all, it is a preview. And it was fun.
I managed to get 15 from Leicester.
Oh, you did? That's good.
Because I put out a post and I got slagged off for it, saying, if I don't sell 15 tickets, it's not worth doing. And a few people were like, oh, you've been desperate. And I was like, show won't work. It's a whole new hour. I need to test if it's funny. So I sold 15 and it went ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, I think I've sold 22 for Manchester.
What it is to be in the scene, not excommunicated to pubs and private functions.
And I've sold similar numbers for the two brewers, but I'm on a mission to get it closer to like 50 or 60. Because that's what they want for the room. So, yeah, from tomorrow, I'm just going to be nagging anyone who's anywhere near London to try and fill that fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they want sort of minimum 60. Now,
speaking of which, when is it?
On the 25th, on the Wednesday.
Of June?
Yeah, it's week today. Yeah. Week today from when we're recording this, but by the time it's on Friday, it'll be like 5 days a week. So, yeah, the previews are going okay, but flogging tickets is hard. Like, Phoenix Arts Club asked me, do you want to take the show to the Phoenix Arts Club? I was like, I would love to take the show to the Phoenix Arts Club, but do I want the pressure to sell more tickets right now? No. And also, they have a minimum £15 that they want for the
ticket.
Per ticket, and I'm like, let's do it post Fringe.
Yeah, it's also quite a lot, I think, for an hour of anything. Like,
it's a lot for an hour of anything, and it's a lot for something that's a work in progress at the minute. I paid £15 to go to someone's preview, and it still felt a bit work in progress like, and I'm like, I'll pay that when I feel like it's a finished product.
Yeah, I'm used to whips being free, but you get what you pay for. Hence, I perform to 10 people because I love the night. Comedy Balloon at the Ape and Apple. It is lovely. It's there every Wednesday. He is so good, Jace, who runs it. Does it for the love, but it's run really well. But its audience are very variable, and it is what it is. I always preview there because I just get a good vibe. Because generally it's random people, and if they enjoy it, great. So
I mean, tomorrow if I get it up to 30, I'll be really happy.
Well, yeah, I've got we can start talking about these dates, can't we? I met up with the guys from Underground who are running my shows, or I'm with them, for Buxton Fringe. Tickets have started to sell, not in vast quantities, but I found interesting that I've basically sold the same amount of tickets for my Saturday night one and my Tuesday night one, which is really interesting. But they said, most of these shift a couple of days before the event, which I can well believe. And I imagine the Saturday one in particular, because it's at 10 p.m, is going to be something where people actually have been to a few things and will then fall into it. That's cross fingers. It's definitely designed to be that kind of show. So we'll see. And Edinburgh, I've done 32 tickets now, which is exciting for a free fringe thing where you don't even need to have a ticket. And the money's really good. Like, it's way higher than the 5 minimum. It's closer to the 10, like, average. So
my numbers are similar. They're a bit slow at this point. I think they were a bit more last year. But it's still probably there or thereabouts where it was with 6 weeks to go. So
there's loads of time. As ever, these tickets, we largely shift on the day. It's just nice to know you've got some people there.
I mean, Woucher approached me.
Wow, really?
And said, do you want us to flog tickets for you? I was like, do you have any confidence you could sell them? And they were like, yeah, we've worked loads with like paid fringe. And when I inquired with the paid fringes how well it actually worked, they were like, not sure it's going to work. Mostly, I think the process is quite manual. I think that's one of the reasons why paid fringe were put off by it. But also, like, if you imagine the ticket starts at £8, £8 to £15, Woucher want a discount to try and plug it. And then you give that smaller amount to Assembly, and then they're going to take all their deductions off it. I'll end up with fuck all.
Yes, it's like the problem with that is that it's already borderline impossible to profit off Edinburgh. And if you then end up shifting all your tickets essentially 50% off or more, then you have got no hope of achieving anything. I'm amazed Woucher do it. And I imagine it works for people who've got very large rooms and suddenly like, oh God, we've got an empty balcony. It's better to have something than nothing. But if you're in a room, which is, I presume your room is less than 100 people.
60.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Like you literally would be better off on the free fringe at that point. Yeah.
And the problem, although I would very happily have 60 people every night. Rather than 30 people paying full price. But I think I can do a lot of that flyering.
For 60 people a night, I've not achieved it. I do think it's still realistic to get the majority of that filled with a decent show, i.e. it's not getting slagged off anywhere, and a bit of flyering. It's once you start go larger than 60, you need a team, you need the posters, you need the blah blah blah, and everything becomes incredibly high stakes because it gets incredibly expensive to do.
So I've done some posters this year. I've not done out of hand because I didn't get funding.
No.
So I just couldn't afford. I couldn't afford to do it. And sometimes you just have to say, I'll invest the money on flyering. Because I find that's where you'll know you'll make a difference. I know I won't get bad reviews. I'm sure I'll get the odd one I won't like, but unless I generally get a 1 star where everybody's really slagging it off, it's going to be fine.
Well, the other thing that gets in the way, not that it does have a detriment to some degree, is if you simply just don't get reviewed, and then by week 2 and 3, that starts to hurt. If you get a good review, it's amazing. But as someone who rarely gets reviewed, I don't even factor it in. I send out my press releases, cross fingers, but
yeah,
I've got a tiny room. I've got 35 seats, so I'm not really worrying myself too much about it.
That is one of the things that tends to happen with paid fringe. It is easier to get reviewed, but you pay a lot for that privilege.
Yeah, because you end up having to do things like pay into the marketing budgets and things. It's It's corrupt. Or you have to pay for a PR, and after all, that is their job, like to get you
Yeah.
coverage. If you could get it without them, they wouldn't exist. So,
if you can get it.
I just don't. I don't feel the need. But I'm looking very positively at this. It seems to be like I had sold virtually no tickets at this point last year, and it did creep up, but it was largely people on the day. And it looked like this time it'd be really nice to actually have every day going, no, I need the ticket holders first. Because that sends a message.
And I'm really good we're not doing Dragadoo.
Oh no. But
But
you and I both picked late shows with no gap.
however,
The 1 a.m. Dragadoo is coming at you. That's about as much as we could have done.
doable.
Yeah, but there'd be no one there. And I
Yeah,
don't
I
want
think
the people who are there.
Can you imagine how drunk they would be at 1 a.m.?
Yeah, and how unlikely they'd be to give us any money is the other thing that occurs to me.
Spent it all on beer.
Mm-hmm.
Or they need to save it for their Uber home.
Yes. We get in trouble for demanding money on entry. Like, pay what we like. That's what this show is, a pay what we like.
Are you not allowed to charge an entry?
No, it's pay what you like. You have to observe it and then pay, unless you've reserved your seat in advance. And bless them, a whole bunch of people have, because they believe it'll be good. I imagine they've seen me before. So yeah, because that's the thing about the free fringe. It's really nice in that way because it encourages people to take a risk who might not otherwise take a risk. But the way it's going, I don't know how it's going for other Laughing Horse shows. I'm sure there's plenty which are selling a lot of tickets in advance. Could end up literally being it's ticketed with standby seats to fill it up.
Yeah, in case someone drops out.
Or, you've sold 28, so you've got 7 remaining kind of thing. That would be great for me. But it would also it'd be interesting what it would do to the free fringe in principle. Who knows? Anyway.
So before we go, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, let's do some plugging. So I shall get my physical. Oh, you can't see it because of my filters. There we go. My physical diary. Love a physical diary. So where are we? The news today. So by the time you hear this, I will be off on the 21st of June at where am I? I'm in Nottingham. At a place called the Three Tons. It's in Eastwood, which is part of Nottingham. And it is my beach party, absolutely fabulous beach party. I'm returning there. It was lovely last time. It will be brilliant this time. And I'm coming straight off the bat of doing a hen do in what looks like a mansion. So it'll be interesting how I feel by that point. That'd be nice. Then come the next week, as ever, quiz on Thursday, Traveller's Rest Leeds, still going really, really well. Really enjoying that. But also on that Thursday, I'm at a care home. No one can come to that unless you're in the care home, so never mind. The 27th of June, Mavericks Bingley, absolutely fabulous, is there. They're having a lot of Pride stuff going on there at the moment, so I sort of guess it forms part of that, which is really good. That's beach party too, so bring your Hawaiian shirts and your bikinis on top, or whatever it is, the Katy Perry song. And then 28th, Mickerbrook Cheadle. I'm back there doing Abdab beach parties, which will be really fun. I know they're currently doing, if you share their post, you could win a tray of shots. So get over to the Mickerbrooks Facebook page and start sharing their post. And then on the 4th of July, Londoners, I'm in Aylesbury, or sort of London, Buckinghamshire, absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
Is at Rivet Sports and Social Club, and that is a beach party too. And then I shoot straight back up on July the 5th to the Doghouse in Bamber Bridge for more Abdab beach parties. Then I appeared running some bingo, no less, at the Buxton Fringe launch party. That's on the 8th of July in Buxton. And then I'll round that off by saying you can see me on the 11th of July at the New Inn Middleton with Bop and Bingo. And on the 12th, Secret Diary of a Bingo Call Girl appears at Buxton Fringe at 10 p.m. at the Working Men's Club. Get your tickets now. There you go. That's me.
So proud of how full your diary is.
Busy. And mainly me. I'm not Bop and Bingo. It's a very absolutely fabulous month. How about you?
Booked and blessed, and I can't remember all my dates, but I will say, please come to the Two Brewers on the 25th to come and see me at my final preview in London, which will still be on sale very much when this airs.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend I'm at O'Neill's in High Wycombe on Friday. Saturday I'm at the Angel of Bow, which is a fabulous London brunch. And then I'm at the Old Ship in London. And then on Sunday I'm roasting Jill G.
Ah,
For the first time doing a comedy roast, so that should be fun. And then, yes.
where are you doing that?
Hot water.
It is Hot Water, Liverpool. Ah.
I've got loads of things coming up. Look at antiginger.com/diary or antiginger.com and look for the diary page to see where I've got coming up. Everything's going to be a bit fringe, and if you're irritated, just imagine what it's like trying to sell tickets, because I'm going to be posting about the show until September. But I love the show, and the first preview went well, and I'm confident that if it keeps going in the right direction, that we'll have some good reviews and probably some other ones. But there we go. This has been a joy, so we'll be back in a fortnight. Thank you for those that listen, and tell a friend, rate it 5 stars, put it on your social media. We love you dearly. Thank you for listening. And thank you, Andy, for making this possible. Always.
Thank you, Dom. And yes, lovely. Thank you, everyone. And yes, we'll catch you in a fortnight. Bye.
Bye.
Bring me to queer.